Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtachadesha Tadine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the United States in a small city called Memphis, Tennessee, of Roman Catholic parents, Italian descent, and I was raised in a Catholic educational system and primary, secondary, and tertiary schools. And yeah, from an early childhood, there was some religious intent, and eventually, as life happened, then I began to question more, and the Catholic worldview just didn't answer the questions. So when I did meet devotees many years later, then it clicked that this is the truth. You didn't have to tell me; I knew it, um, and and it was a radical change, a radical change from not even knowing how to say the word Krishna. The first time I met devotees, it was at a Sunday love feast in Overton Park in Memphis, and there was no temple in Memphis, and they were traveling through on a school bus, and they had advertised a vegetarian feast, and I was doing yoga. I was taking martial arts. I was working in construction full time. And I felt like I'm preparing myself because I asked myself, is there a meaning? Is there meaning to life? And I was a big reader at the time. And I decided, yes, there is a meaning to my life. I don't know what it is. But when I find out, I'm going to be ready. So I was taking TM, I was doing martial arts, I was doing yoga. And the yoga book I was taking, it was very effective, actually. It was just a small book, but somehow or other, I was having some real experiences. And one of the recommendations was at least to cut out red meat and hopefully become a vegetarian. So when I saw the sign vegetarian, I said, okay, let's go, we'll check this out. So I thought it would be boys and girls in t-shirts and bell-bottom jeans and like that. And I came around the corner and I see these guys from Mars with shiny faces and shiny heads and bright saffron robes. And I asked myself, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But somehow by Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya's mercy, I went to find out. And this devotee, he turned out to be a bhakta. He gave me a plate of prasadam, sat me down, and spoke the philosophy. And it just, I was astounded, because I didn't even have to ask the questions. They were already kind of answered by the way he made his presentation. And then I knew I had to do something. I had to, now you've been exposed. So you're either going to accept it or you're going to go back to sleep and become a nonsense like you were. You were searching and now you found it. So what are you going to do? So my idea was that I can help. I can help. Maybe I can help. And I felt I can give it a year and see what happens. And very soon afterwards, Krishna made the arrangement. I was in an interesting material situation. I was engaged to be married and things like that. And I'd brought later interactions, I brought my fiance to meet the devotees, and she wasn't interested like that. Things became fairly clear what people's individual motivations are. My parents, this young lady, like that. So then Krishna made the arrangement for these things to just disappear, and gave me the opportunity. So I joined the devotees in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was interesting because I don't know if I should even mention the first day I arrived, all the devotees were on book distribution. So what can you do? Go on book distribution. And I didn't really know anything. I'd bought some cloth at a fabric shop, and I was wearing a sheet, really, and a t-shirt. And here I am on the street in Knoxville, and I don't really know anything. I just had this innate understanding that this is the right thing. So interestingly enough, I met a boy who was going to the University of Tennessee that I went to high school with. And he saw me on the street, and he stopped and he looked, and he kind of looked at me like, is this really true? Is this really happening? And then he started laughing, a real guffaw, ha, 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 like that, thinking that he's in such better position. Here I'm. And he just said, you don't know what you're doing. And it was true. I didn't know what I was doing. I only had this idea, but I had no philosophical understanding. But I promised myself right then that I'm going to learn what I'm doing. And I'm going to be able to tell you very clearly that this is the best thing and that what you're doing is laughable. So then over the years, I've tried to understand Krishna consciousness more clearly and help other people try to understand it. I was 22. It wasn't a temple. It was a traveling party. It was Rupa Nugadas. He was the GBC. He was a sannyasi at the time. He was the GBC for the entire eastern United States, Mississippi over, Canada, and Latin America. That was a gigantic area. And he had a traveling party. And very nice devotees. Madhava Das, who was a PhD in organic chemistry, who later joined the Bhaktivedanta Institute with Bhakti Swarup Damodar. My Sankirtan leader's name was Aja, and he was a very forceful preacher. I was reading in the Madhurya Kandambini that a person comes to Krishna consciousness only after many, many lifetimes of agyata sukriti. But then it says it also can happen by the powerful preaching of a devotee. And this devotee powerfully preached and practically forced me to join like that. Ajadas. What I was going to say that the day after I joined was a Sunday, and Ajadas and another devotee named Brajajana, they received second initiation, and we had a fire yagya in the duplex, in the side of the duplex that we were in, and nice feast and festival, and they got their Gayatri mantras from Rupanuga Prabhu. Later that evening, while we were all sleeping, somebody threw a firebomb in the window, and it exploded on the window jamb where Brajajana Prabhu was sleeping in his sleeping bag underneath. And the flames went all over, but a lot of them went on top of him. And he had third-degree burns over 90% of his body. And he looked like he had a bad sunburn. But a week later, his skin was completely charred, and he died. And I went with Rupanuga to see him. The hospital staff weren't very cordial in allowing devotees to stay very long. But he was entreating Brajajana, you have to chant in your mind. You won't be able to chant with your mouth when you're leaving this body. But you have to chant in your mind. And that was the day after I joined. So it made me more convinced that this Krishna consciousness is serious business. It's serious business. And somehow, by Prabhupada's mercy, I wasn't scared away. Maybe I had this stubborn streak that you try to stop me from doing something, it only gives me more impetus to try to do it.